Welcome back to Ageless Mind and Body, where every choice you make today builds a healthier, stronger tomorrow. If you think all fish are good for you, think again. While fish can be a powerhouse of nutrition, not all are created equal. In fact, some of the most popular options out there could quietly be undermining your health or the health of someone you love, especially as we age. Today, we're diving into the 6 types of fish older adults should avoid, and trust me, a few of them might surprise you. From hidden mercury bombs to farmed fish raised in questionable conditions, these aren't just food choices. They're potential health risks that build up over time. But the good news: with just a few simple swaps, you can protect your brain, your heart, your joints, and even your immune system. So grab a pen, take notes, and let's get smarter about what's really on our plate. Your future self will thank you. Let's get started. 1. Big Eye Tuna and Albacore Tuna. Let's start with one of the most commonly misunderstood types of fish: Big Eye Tuna and Albacore Tuna. On the surface, these fish appear to be excellent choices. They're rich in protein taste, luxurious, and often show up on the menus of high-end restaurants or beautifully plated in sushi rolls. But beneath their appealing appearance lies a hidden danger that many older adults simply aren't aware of: mercury. Both Big Eye and Albacore Tuna rank among the highest in mercury levels of all commonly consumed fish. And that's not a small detail, it's a serious concern. Mercury is a heavy metal that builds up in the body over time. It's not something you feel after one bite or even one meal. The danger lies in repeated exposure, which can lead to long-term damage, especially to the nervous system, cardiovascular system, and brain. For older adults, this is particularly troubling. As we age, our bodies naturally lose some of their ability to detoxify and recover from damage. Our immune systems become more fragile and our nervous systems more sensitive. What might only cause a mild issue in a younger person could lead to cognitive decline, irregular heartbeat, or worsened memory function in someone over 60. This isn't fear-mongering, it's science. And while these types of tuna might be a treat once in a while for younger, healthier individuals, for seniors, they can quietly chip away at well-being over time. What's even more concerning is that these fish don't look harmful. In fact, they're often marketed as premium options. You'll find Big Eye Tuna labeled as maguro in sushi restaurants, celebrated for its rich red color and buttery texture. Albacore, sometimes labeled as white tuna, is often used in canned tuna that's marketed as a healthier choice. But don't be fooled, these names don't make them any less risky. High mercury content doesn't change based on packaging or presentation. It's a chemical fact based on how these fish live what they eat and how long they stay in the ocean accumulating toxins. Big Eye and Albacore are large predatory fish, and that's exactly why they're so dangerous. They consume smaller fish over many years, which concentrates the mercury in their flesh. When you eat them, that mercury goes into your body, and over time, it can accumulate in your tissues, organs, and brain. So, what should you do instead? If you or someone you care for enjoys tuna regularly, don't worry. There are safer options. Canned light tuna, which typically comes from smaller skipjack tuna, has much lower mercury levels and is generally considered safe for older adults in moderate amounts. Stick to no more than 2 servings per week and always opt for cooked rather than raw, especially if the immune system is already compromised. This small shift can drastically reduce the hidden health risks associated with mercury exposure. It's important to understand that not all fish labeled tuna are the same. For aging bodies, which are more vulnerable to toxins and slower to heal, these distinctions truly matter. We often hear that fish is brain food, and it can be, but only if you're choosing the right kind. So the next time you're at the store or browsing a sushi menu, take a closer look. Ask questions, read the labels. What might seem like a healthy choice could in reality be an invisible threat. Your health or the health of someone you love is worth that extra moment of thought. After all, when it comes to aging, gracefully knowledge and small decisions like this are some of our most powerful tools. 2. Tilefish. Now let's talk about a fish that most people have never even heard of yet. It may pose one of the greatest hidden dangers to aging adults. Tilefish, also known in some regions as Atlantic goldeneye snapper or simply hong ja in Vietnamese. This fish doesn't usually appear on your weekly grocery list, but don't let its low profile fool you. Tilefish contains some of the highest mercury levels of any fish in the ocean, often surpassing even the more well-known high mercury species like swordfish or big eye tuna. And because it's not a household name, most people don't realize when they're eating it. Tilefish is commonly served in upscale restaurants, usually under a chef-selected menu or as part of gourmet dishes. It's rarely labeled clearly or accompanied by any warning. You may think you're ordering a catch of the day or a delicately grilled white fish, not realizing you've just been served one of the most toxic options available. Mercury is a neurotoxin, meaning it affects the brain and nervous system, and its effects are especially severe in older adults. Over time, regular exposure to mercury can lead to cognitive decline, memory loss, mood changes, and even increased risk of dementia. These are not hypothetical dangers, they are well-documented concerns in medical literature. For seniors already experiencing slower neurological function, even small amounts of added mercury can have significant consequences. A fish like tilefish, which has such an unusually high concentration of this toxin, can become a silent saboteur of mental clarity, emotional balance, and overall neurological health. And the worst part, most older adults consuming it have no idea what it is. They're not choosing to eat something dangerous. They're being exposed to it unintentionally through restaurant menus and mislabeled seafood dishes. The risk is not just in what tilefish contains, but also in how difficult it is to recognize. Because it goes by various regional names, and because it's less common in standard grocery store packaging, the average consumer doesn't know to avoid it. Seniors might order it at a restaurant thinking they're making a healthy choice. After all, it's fish, and fish is good for the brain, right? But with tilefish, the opposite is often true. Instead of supporting cognitive function, it may gradually erode it. Instead of strengthening the nervous system, it may actually disrupt it. So, what can you do? Awareness is the first step. If you see tilefish listed on a menu, skip it. If you're unsure about the fish being served, don't be afraid to ask, what kind of fish is this? Or, where is this sourced from? That one simple question could prevent long-term damage. And for those preparing meals for older adults, whether you're a caregiver, a spouse, or a concerned family member, knowing this information empowers you to make safer choices. Substitute high-risk fish like tilefish with low-mercury options such as wild-caught salmon sardines or canned light tuna. These alternatives offer the omega-3s and protein that aging bodies need without the toxic burden. Remember, the goal isn't to eliminate fish from the diet. Fish can still be one of the most beneficial foods for heart, brain, and joint health as long as you choose the right kind. It's about being informed. It's about seeing beyond the fancy presentation or the chef's recommendation and truly understanding what's on the plate. For older adults, every bite matters more. And when it comes to tilefish, one bite could be doing more harm than good. Choose wisely, because in your later years, protecting your brain is one of the most important decisions you can make. 3. Swordfish. Let's turn our attention to one of the most majestic and striking fish in the ocean. Swordfish. With its long, sharp bill and muscular frame, swordfish looks like the ultimate powerhouse of the sea. It's often featured as a high-end menu item, grilled to perfection and served as a hearty, protein-rich option. But despite its appealing presentation and strong nutritional reputation, swordfish carries a serious, often overlooked danger, especially for older adults. The problem lies not in how it's cooked or where it's served, but in the biology of the fish itself. Swordfish is a large carnivorous predator, which means it sits high on the ocean food chain. As a result, it accumulates extraordinarily high levels of mercury, a toxic heavy metal that builds up in the tissues of top-tier predators over time. The longer the fish lives and the more smaller fish it eats, the more mercury it stores in its body, and by the time that swordfish fillet reaches your plate, it may contain mercury concentrations many times higher than safer seafood options. This poses a serious concern for seniors. Mercury exposure has been strongly linked to a wide range of health problems, most notably those affecting the brain and cardiovascular system. In older adults who are already more vulnerable due to age-related changes in the body, mercury can have even more pronounced effects. Long-term exposure, even in moderate amounts, can impair memory, slow down cognitive processing, increase the risk of depression or anxiety, and worsen symptoms of neurological disorders like Parkinson's or dementia. Additionally, mercury is a known contributor to heart disease, as it can damage blood vessels, raise blood pressure, and interfere with normal heart rhythms. For seniors living with chronic illnesses such as hypertension, diabetes, or kidney problems, the added stress of mercury toxicity can accelerate decline and reduce quality of life in meaningful ways. The difficulty is that swordfish doesn't seem dangerous. It's often marketed as a healthy choice thanks to its high protein content, low fat, and firm texture. You'll see it on clean eating menus or offered as a smart swap for red meat. But that reputation hides a very real risk. Swordfish is one of the top offenders on the FDA's list of high mercury seafood and is specifically advised against for pregnant women, children, and, yes, older adults. What makes it especially deceptive is that mercury doesn't affect the taste or appearance of the fish. There's no foul smell, no discoloration, no obvious clue. But once inside the body, mercury silently gets to work, disrupting cellular function, slowing brain activity, and burdening the liver and kidneys, which are already working harder in elderly individuals. So if you or someone you love enjoys fish regularly and is trying to eat healthily, this is one type to cross off the list. There are plenty of safer alternatives like wild-caught salmon sardines, Atlantic mackerel, not king mackerel, and canned light tuna that provide similar benefits without the toxic risk. These fish offer omega-3 fatty acids, essential proteins, and heart-healthy nutrients, but with much lower mercury content. The goal isn't to fear fish, but to choose wisely. And when it comes to swordfish, the choice is clear: steer away, especially for older adults with existing health conditions. What may appear to be a healthy indulgence could in fact be undermining long-term well-being. As we age, every food decision becomes more meaningful, and making thoughtful, informed choices today can help preserve clarity, strength, and energy for the years ahead. 4. Farmed salmon. Let's talk about one of the most commonly misunderstood foods on the health-conscious plate, farmed salmon. It's often praised for being rich in omega-3 fatty acids, widely recommended by nutritionists, and viewed as a go-to source of lean protein and heart support. And yes, in theory, salmon is one of the healthiest fish you can eat. But not all salmon is created equal. The truth is farmed salmon, especially the kind imported from countries with loose regulations like Chile or certain parts of Southeast Asia, poses a far greater risk to your health than most people realize, especially for older adults. The problem isn't the salmon itself, but the industrial method in which it's raised. These fish are grown in densely packed underwater pens where thousands of fish swim in confined, stressful conditions. To maximize profit and growth speed, they're fed a diet of low-quality pellets often made from contaminated ingredients, animal byproducts, or cheap fillers that lack the nutritional value of their wild counterparts. To combat the inevitable spread of disease in these cramped environments, farmed salmon are routinely given antibiotics, sometimes even banned drugs, in an attempt to keep the stock alive. These antibiotics don't just disappear, they remain in the fish tissue and eventually make their way into your body when consumed. But it doesn't stop there. Since farmed salmon don't swim freely and don't eat the natural diet that gives wild salmon its signature pink-orange hue, chemical colorants are often added to their feed to artificially pigment their flesh. Without these additives, the meat would appear an unappetizing gray. And perhaps most concerning of all, the very feed that these fish consume has been found to be contaminated with PCBs, polychlorinated biphenyls, and dioxins, both of which are toxic industrial chemicals. These substances have been linked to cancer hormone disruption, immune suppression, and chronic inflammation, and they bioaccumulate, meaning they build up in your body over time. For older adults whose bodies are naturally more sensitive and whose detox systems may be slowing with age, this accumulation can lead to increased inflammation, worsening of arthritis, chronic fatigue, and greater risk of heart disease or neurological decline. The irony is heartbreaking. Many seniors choose salmon thinking they're doing something good for their bodies, replacing red meat, watching cholesterol supporting their joints, when in reality farmed salmon can have the opposite effect. Instead of reducing inflammation, it may increase it. Instead of boosting immunity, it could weaken it. The very fish intended to support longevity and clarity might be quietly undermining those very goals. That's why it's critical to read labels carefully and choose only wild-caught salmon, particularly from trusted sources like Alaskan fisheries. Wild salmon swim in clean, open waters, feed on a natural diet, and contain higher levels of naturally occurring omega-3s with far fewer toxins. Yes, wild salmon may cost a bit more, but when it comes to protecting aging joints, calming inflammation, and preserving immune function, that extra investment is more than worth it. For those caring for elderly loved ones or aging consciously themselves, this kind of knowledge is empowering. It's not about eliminating salmon from your diet. It's about making the right choice between what supports your health and what silently sabotages it. In the later years of life, every meal matters more. And with farmed salmon, what looks like a health food could in fact be a toxic trap. Choose wisely. Choose wild. Your body and your future self will thank you. 5. Imported catfish. Let's move on to a fish that may surprise you. Imported catfish, also known in some regions as basa or trawfish. For many families, especially in the South, catfish is more than just a meal. It's a tradition. Crispy golden fillets served with hush puppies and coleslaw evoke memories of backyard gatherings, Sunday dinners, and a comforting sense of home. But in today's global seafood market, not all catfish is created equal, and for older adults, choosing the wrong kind could come with serious health risks. The biggest issue lies in where the catfish comes from. A large portion of the catfish sold in supermarkets and restaurants across the U.S. is imported from countries like Vietnam and parts of Southeast Asia, where fish farming practices are often poorly regulated. These fish are typically raised in overcrowded ponds with questionable water quality, often contaminated with waste bacteria and industrial runoff. To keep diseases from spreading in these unsanitary conditions, farmers frequently rely on heavy use of antibiotics, including some that are banned in the United States due to their connection with long-term health issues and antibiotic resistance. That's where the real danger begins. When fish are raised on these banned antibiotics, residues can remain in their flesh, even after processing. And when humans consume these residues, especially over time, they can disrupt the natural balance of bacteria in the body. For older adults whose immune systems may already be weakened by age, chronic illness, or medication, this creates the perfect storm. The body becomes more vulnerable to drug-resistant bacteria, meaning infections that once responded to simple treatments may now become more complicated or even life-threatening. What may cause mild food poisoning in a younger adult can escalate quickly in a senior, leading to hospitalization, prolonged illness, or worse. This is particularly troubling considering that imported catfish is often sold at low prices, making it an attractive option for people looking to stretch their grocery budget. Unfortunately, the lower cost can come at a high cost to health. But there is good news. Catfish isn't off limits entirely. If you or someone you care for enjoys it, there is a safer and much healthier option: U.S. farmed catfish. American catfish farmers are held to strict regulations on water quality, feed ingredients, and antibiotic use. The ponds are regularly monitored, and the fish are raised in cleaner, more controlled environments. Choosing catfish that is labeled as farmed in the U.S. significantly reduces your exposure to banned drugs and resistant bacteria. And equally important, no matter where the catfish comes from, it should always be fully cooked, well done, not just lightly seared. Proper cooking destroys harmful bacteria and parasites, making the dish safer to digest, especially for older adults who may have slower digestive function or chronic conditions like diabetes or kidney disease. Ultimately, this is about more than just food safety. It's about preserving health, independence, and quality of life. In our later years, the body becomes less forgiving of the toxins and bacteria we could once shrug off. That's why even comfort food, like a familiar plate of fried catfish, needs to be approached with awareness. It's not about giving up beloved dishes. It's about making small, smart changes that protect your health and the health of those you love. So next time you shop or order at a restaurant, check the label, ask about the source, and choose U.S. farmed, fully cooked catfish. That simple shift could mean the difference between a meal that nourishes and one that unknowingly harms. 6. King mackerel. Now let's talk about a fish that sounds noble but comes with a hidden danger. King mackerel. At first glance, it seems like a strong, flavorful option for seafood lovers. Its firm texture and bold taste make it popular in grilled dishes, stews, and traditional coastal recipes. But behind that rich flavor lies a serious health risk, especially for older adults. King mackerel is one of the highest mercury-containing fish on the planet. That's because it's a large, long-living predator. It spends years swimming through the ocean, feeding on smaller fish that also contain mercury, and as a result, mercury builds up in its body over time in a process called bioaccumulation. By the time a king mackerel reaches your plate, it may carry mercury levels that are dangerously high, even for healthy adults. But for seniors, the stakes are even higher. Mercury is a powerful neurotoxin, meaning it affects the brain and nervous system. In older adults, this can result in memory problems, poor coordination, slower reaction times, tremors, and even mood disorders like anxiety or depression. In fact, chronic exposure to mercury has been linked to an increased risk of cognitive decline and may even accelerate symptoms of dementia. For those already dealing with age-related changes in brain function, this added burden can significantly reduce quality of life. What's more, mercury doesn't just leave the body quickly, it lingers in organs and tissues, slowly interfering with vital systems over time. And because seniors often have slower detoxification processes, the harmful effects of mercury can show up sooner and last longer than in younger individuals. What makes king mackerel particularly deceptive is its appearance on many restaurant menus and in seafood markets. Without warning labels or clear guidelines, many people assume it's safe simply because it's being sold. But the FDA and EPA both strongly advise that vulnerable populations, including older adults, pregnant women, and young children, completely avoid king mackerel. It's not just a matter of limiting intake. This is one fish that is better left off your plate entirely. While some types of fish offer essential omega-3 fatty acids that support heart and brain health, king mackerel's toxic load outweighs its nutritional value, especially for those over 60. In short, there is no safe serving size of king mackerel for seniors. The risks far exceed the benefits. If you or someone you care for enjoys mackerel, there are safer alternatives that provide the same heart-healthy fats without the high mercury risk. For example, Atlantic mackerel, also known as Boston mackerel, is much lower in mercury and still offers a good source of protein and omega-3s. Similarly, sardines, anchovies, and wild-caught salmon are excellent choices that support cognitive health, reduce inflammation, and protect the heart, all without the heavy metal risks. The key is to choose fish that are smaller, short-lived, and lower on the food chain, since they naturally contain less mercury. At the end of the day, making smart seafood choices isn't about fear, it's about empowerment. When you understand how certain fish can affect your long-term health, especially in the later decades of life, you can make confident, informed decisions that truly support well-being. King mackerel may sound majestic, but its impact on the aging body is anything but. By avoiding it entirely and opting for safer alternatives, you're not just protecting your brain and nervous system, you're preserving your clarity, independence, and vitality for the years ahead. So, the next time you're at the fish counter or scanning a menu, remember, not all fish are equal. And when it comes to mercury, king mackerel wears a toxic crown that's simply not worth the risk. Behind this list lies a deeper message, one that goes beyond food labels or weekly meal plans. Not all fish are created equal, and what may seem like a healthy choice at first glance can quietly harm aging bodies over time. As we grow older, our immune systems become more fragile, and our liver and kidneys less efficient at filtering out toxins. This means that seniors are especially vulnerable to the effects of contaminated fish, particularly those high in mercury antibiotics or industrial pollutants. A piece of fish that a younger adult could digest without issue might lead to fatigue, joint pain, or even cognitive problems in someone over 60. It's a sobering truth that some of the most common and widely praised seafoods, like salmon and tuna, can cause more harm than good when sourced from the wrong place or consumed too often. Inflammation, memory lapses, and persistent aches may not always be signs of aging alone. They might be the result of what's on the plate. That's why awareness is so important. Understanding the impact of these foods isn't just about avoiding discomfort. It's about protecting long-term vitality, independence, and quality of life. Knowledge is power, and when it comes to protecting your health or the health of someone you love, even small informed actions can lead to big changes. One of the easiest yet most powerful steps you can take is simply to read the labels when buying fish. Don't just glance check for terms like wild-caught, U.S. farmed, or low mercury. At restaurants, don't hesitate to ask where the fish comes from. It's not being picky, it's being proactive. Knowing the source of your seafood helps you avoid hidden dangers like high mercury levels or toxic additives. Smart substitutions can make a world of difference. Instead of high-risk options like king mackerel or farmed salmon from poorly regulated countries, choose cleaner, safer alternatives such as wild Alaskan salmon, canned light tuna, or sardines. These options still offer great taste and health benefits without the hidden risks. The best part, you don't have to give up your favorite dishes. You just need to enjoy them more mindfully with better ingredients and a clearer understanding of what supports your long-term well-being. You have more control than you think. All it takes is a little knowledge, a little curiosity, and a willingness to make smarter choices one meal at a time. Loving and caring for older adults begins with the smallest acts like helping your parents or grandparents choose safer fish at the grocery store. It's not about control. It's about compassion. When we take a moment to guide our loved ones toward healthier food choices, we're offering protection in the most practical way possible. Health isn't just about medications or doctor's visits. It's built day by day through everyday decisions, what we eat, how we prepare our meals, and what we allow into our bodies. Especially for seniors, those small decisions carry even greater weight. A simple swap from farmed salmon to wild-caught or from high-mercury tuna to canned light tuna can prevent long-term damage and support clearer thinking, stronger hearts, and a more comfortable life. That's why we created this channel, not just to share information, but to build a community where we care for one another with intention and wisdom. So, now we invite you to take part. Have you or someone in your family regularly eaten one of these fish without knowing the risks? Did this video open your eyes to something new? Share your experience in the comments. Let's talk, learn, and grow together. And if this message resonated with you, even just a little, please like this video and subscribe to Ageless Mind and Body. We post practical, compassionate guidance to help you and your loved ones age well, mindfully, gracefully, and safely. Together, we can make sure the later years are not just long, but truly healthy and fulfilling. See you in the next video, and until then, stay wise, stay well, and keep choosing love in the little things.